Hey, I'm Alex. I'm a certified sex and relationship therapist, and these are the voice notes that I like to make for people instead of having a podcast because I don't have the time, money, or resources to do that. So instead, I just give you little bite-sized 10-minute or so episodes whenever I feel like recording them. This is Roger. He will join us occasionally for episodes. Today I want to talk about the article I recently wrote called Being Loved by a Man-Hating Feminist is the New Social Currency, and essentially some thoughts, or I guess afterthoughts I've had since that went semi-viral. My first thought is that this article that I wrote isn't that feminist in my opinion. Like, it still argues the fact that some men still have power by being associated to feminist women. Those men just happen to have unpacked patriarchal masculinity. The other reason I think it's not that feminist is because it does center men. To me, I wrote this article because it was just prompted by this conversation I had with a friend over Vietnamese food. And I was like, yeah, this is kind of funny that we've landed in this place where essentially patriarchy is the same. It just looks slightly different and maybe we have a bit more choice. But even within the heterosexual relationships that even feminist women end up in, there's still probably discrepancies and inequalities that exist that, again, are just inherent to us being raised so differently in a patriarchal society. The other thing I have to admit is that when this post went viral on Instagram, I started getting a lot of hate comments or misogynistic comments from loser, red pill incel freaks. And I learned from the past, I used to actually be a bit afraid to just block people. I think it was a bit of imposter syndrome where I thought, no, this is if I'm going to put a thought out there, I have to be ready for pushback. I also thought I can argue my point and kind of convince people that I'm worthy of putting this idea out in the world. This time, I just am busy. I'm really busy and I don't care. So as soon as I started seeing misogynistic comments or just men deliberately being oppositional in the comments of this post, arguing against feminism, arguing in favor of patriarchy, saying that there's problems with calling yourself a man-hating feminist, blah, 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 I didn't even bother. I was I don't give a fuck. Why would I waste my time trying to educate a dum-dum? That is not how I want to spend my time. So I just started deleting their comments, blocking them. I must tell you that it was a thrill to silence misogynistic men on the internet. If I could bottle up that feeling and put it in a little fairy glass bottle with a cork, I would be spreading it around to every whimsical baddie that I know. We would be cheersing every night and drinking this potion. It would be bright green, toxic. I was on a high. As soon as I woke up in the morning, I was who do I get to silence today? And I would, against my better judgment, open Instagram, eyes barely adjusted to the light of the day, and go, hee, block. I'm afraid to say that I got a little drunk on the sensation of silencing men. It was truly a thrill. The other thing I want to admit is that I'm getting laser hair removal on Friday. The irony of these men is that they often weaponize feminism and be you're just angry and you're so obsessed with men, enjoy just hating men all the time. And the funny thing is that a feminist that hates men is often associated with body hair. The irony is that I do actually have some hairy armpits right now. So it feels quite nice to truly embody the stereotype. Ironically, I'm going to go laser it off in 2 days' time. And the reason I'm bringing up laser hair removal is because, speaking of feminism, what I learned is that in posting this article with this title is that people don't really understand what feminism means and what it looks like to practice on a day-to-day basis. About 5 months ago, I was in LA, living in LA, and one of my colleagues and beautiful friends, I said to her, I was like, hey, like, for years at this point, I have been in a values conflict over whether I should get more laser hair removal. I haven't had it in like 10 years, but I'm starting to like not really enjoy the body hair, and it's like a lot of upkeep and shaving. I don't really like shaving. It's not good for my skin. Am I anti-feminist if I go get laser hair removal? And she was like, Alex, like, feminism is all about choice. So if you choose to remove your body hair, that's your choice. It's your body. You do it. No one else gets to tell you whether that's feminist or not, because it's ultimately a choice. And I was someone I'm clearly quite self-aware, and was like, but what if I'm implicitly doing it to satisfy the sexual preferences of men? What if it's coming from this place of like, well, men or other people, because I have sex with women too, but people just find it nicer. She was kind of just like, well, yeah, you can consider it, but like ultimately, what do you enjoy? Like, how do you want to experience your body? And I was like, honestly, at this point, it's a practical thing. It's a pragmatic necessity to laser some of my pubes off. Because do you see this hair on my head? Do you see how luscious this is? How thick and long this hair is? Great. So it grows like that everywhere, which means that when I've grown my pubes out to their full length, I'm not kidding you, they are so fucking long. Lucky they're a little wavy like my hair, but it means that when I go to put a menstrual cup or a tampon in, guess what else goes inside? My pubes. It is not fun to, every time you want to like get to the entrance of your vagina, feel like you have to part the fucking sea of pubes. So laser at this point has become like a practical necessity. I actually quite enjoy having armpit hair. I just don't need it to be this thick. And what I find is that when it's like too thick, I think it changes the smell of my BO. My boyfriends in the past have told me I don't even have BO, but I feel like I can smell it, and I have a very good sense of smell. I feel like I can tell the difference. Anyway, the point of me sharing this is not to like justify my decision-making process or to clear a guilty conscience. I feel very empowered in the choice to get laser. I'm sharing with you more so a process of what it looks like to live as a feminist, is to just make choices based on my preferences. That's simple. I could also have preferences for a bald puss, but I don't, because pedophiles run the fucking world and have informed our beauty standards, which is that of children's bodies. So right now it feels, personally for me, really fucking gross to be hairless. Like, I've never wanted to be hairier. It's just not practical with my body hair. My body hair is so thick and long and wavy and luscious that I can't physically exist like that. It's like inconvenient. In the past few weeks, I have thought so much about the pressure to be hairless and where that comes from, that even like I look back and feel angry at the men in my life who have somehow either explicitly told me I prefer no pubic hair on a woman, or implicitly celebrated hairlessness on my body. You feel so smooth, that looks so good, it's so nice to touch. I know it comes from the sexual preferences of pedophiles informing our beauty standards. And it's always been that way. But it's so obvious to me right now, and it's so enraging to think about how much of my life I have made choices around my body that has somehow aimed to make it more like a child's body. Like, something I'm really, really big on at the moment is getting strong, not getting skinny, getting strong. I have this like obsession where I think like I want big shoulders. And I have small tits, and I used to have this thing where I was like, oh, the like ratio of small boobs to like big chest and shoulders doesn't look good. I don't give a fuck anymore. You know, I think having like a strong, muscly body is one of the sexiest things. And so I just like, every time I go to the gym and I lift weights, I just think about like, I could fucking knock a man out. Because I also train Muay Thai, so I do actually spar men. And I just think the more weight I can lift, the heavier my punches are going to be. Like when I spar, I want to like hit a guy and him go like this. Oh, feminism, baby. Feminism. The funny thing is that I know the Substack article that went viral seems like a feminist piece, but like I said, I actually don't think it's that feminist. One I think is more feminist is one I published recently, which was How Kink Taught Me that dominant men make really obedient lovers. To me, like, this article was very much poking fun at patriarchal masculinity and kind of just like, really, I wanted a guy to be like, no, I'm a dominant, no, right? Because I think ultimately what I was trying to get at is that when men are afraid to embody feminine characteristics, that is the mark of patriarchal masculinity dictating how a man moves through this world. And that when they can submit to respecting, becoming devoted to respecting a woman and her preferences and her pleasure, he may be perceived on the outside as dominant, but he is inherently obedient. And that is one of the sexiest things a man can be, is obedient to me and my limits and my pleasure. It's one of those ones. Anyway, I just love feminism. I love the fact that I have the choice to just sit on this couch and yap and write with my dog and poke fun at patriarchal masculinity, and that so many people resonate with the messages around dating, the challenges, and that ultimately, like, I have the freedom to do so, to share my thoughts. I think so much about the fact that my mum and my grandparents are all immigrants. They moved here from former Yugoslavia, and my mum was the first to get a university education. I'm the first woman in my family to run my own business, to live by myself, to travel willingly by myself, to write and pursue a job that is meaningful to me. It wasn't out of survival. It wasn't out of necessity. It's out of a sense of purpose and meaning, and that is all a direct result of feminism. So thank you to feminism, thank you to women, and thank you for listening. Love you, miss you, kiss you.